Hey everyone. So, as you all know, I was able to recover bipolar disorder and heal my illness using metabolic therapies like sleep, diet, exercise, stress reduction, etc. And I was hospitalized 4 times, and now I live on my own. My mood is stable, everything is great. Sleep has been so important. Sleep is like totally essential, and it's one of the reasons I'm here doing this is because I've been able to get my sleep correct and get it consistent. So, I wanted to explain some of the sleep protocols I use in three categories. So, kind of rank the habits by importance. S tier, which are the most important sleep habits that I do. A tier, which are critical sleep habits, but maybe not the most important. And then B tier, which are also important sleep habits. So, it's a framework for y'all to understand which might be the most important to implement, which might be the best to focus on, and then which you can work on over time. So, S tier sleep habits. Number one, consistency. Yeah, I sleep from 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. pretty much every night. Not every single night, but pretty much every night. And getting consistent sleep is so important just to get my body in a routine of understanding when it's going to fall asleep, when I'm going to fall asleep, and then when I'm going to wake up. And I think without consistency, everything else just falls apart. And so that's probably the most important of all sleep habits. Morning sun. Yeah, I put this in S tier actually because I believe that getting sunlight first thing in the morning sets your body up to sleep deeply in the evening. So I get outside at least 10 or 20 minutes, 10 minutes if the sun's out, and 20 minutes if the sun's not out and it's cloudy first thing in the morning. So I get bright sunlight in my eyes, like Andrew Huberman talks about, and then that sets me up to fall asleep 14 hours later after I get that sun. And then the last one in the S tier is evening dark or blue light blockers. Yeah, I find that if I get bright, especially those like fluorescent overhead bulbs late in the evening at past 9:30 or 10 p.m., it is so difficult for me to fall asleep, and it just disrupts the depth of my sleep throughout the night, and it's really problematic. It makes it hard to fall asleep. So I try my best to avoid any light. Wear the blue light blocking glasses a couple hours before bed, get the lights off, darkness an hour before bed, and then I can create melatonin and fall asleep. Okay, moving on to the A tier habits, dark room or eye mask. Yeah, I keep my room dark. We have blue light, or we have blackout curtains here, so keep the room dark. And then I also wear an eye mask, so that's helpful to get like the depth of sleep that I want is just to wear the eye mask, but then also keep the room dark as well while I'm sleeping. Temperature. Yeah, I like to sleep with the room like 63 or 64 degrees on the cool side. Generally, they say cooler is better, but some people like different temperatures. Too warm though, like if the room is too hot, I cannot sleep and I will not get a good deep sleep. Exercise. Yeah, exercise is amazing to help me sleep. Especially I think exercise first thing in the morning, like 30 minutes or an hour after I wake up. Although any exercise, getting my heart rate up, even just walking during the day helps me sleep. Limiting caffeine. Yeah, I don't drink caffeine after 9 or 9:30 a.m. usually. Sometimes I'll have like a tea around noon, but it's really just one um, cup of coffee first thing in the morning at around 9 a.m. And then I just don't have any more caffeine. So by the time 10 p.m. rolls around, there's no caffeine in my system and I can just sleep well. And I used to have a big caffeine at noon as well, like a big coffee at noon as well as 9 a.m. And I found that when I stopped drinking that noon coffee and just had one first thing in the morning, my sleep improved a lot. So yeah, even if you have a coffee at like 3 or 4 p.m., a lot of that caffeine is still in your system at 10 or 11 when you're trying to fall asleep. And like, it can even if you still fall asleep, it will disrupt the quality of your sleep. The last one is limit alcohol, last A tier. Yeah, I don't drink, but alcohol is very disruptive for sleep quality, and we know that. Okay, B tier, limit big meals before bed. Yeah, I have my last meal around 7:30 p.m. and then 3 hours later, I'm ready to fall asleep. So having a big meal right before bed can be disruptive for sleep. And I think different things work for different people. Like somewhere between 2 to 4 or 5 hours before bed is probably the right time to have your last big meal, but definitely like a huge meal 10 minutes before you fall asleep. But for me, that's going to disrupt my sleep. Like that's a big problem. Using the bed only for sleep. Yeah, this is also a good one that I'm working on. I'm actually not too good at this one, but I'm getting better at it where like I want to like train myself to feel relaxed and fall asleep when I'm in bed. So I'm working on this actually. I'm trying not to like listen to podcasts or books on tape or read in bed right before bed or like anything else. I actually love to listen to podcasts right before bed, like in my bed with my headphones. But I know that like I would rather train myself to use the bed only for sleep. So I've been working on doing that outside on the couch in the living room rather than in bed. And then just train my system to associate my bed only with sleep. Bedtime routine. Yeah, having a consistent routine has trained me to associate the routine with getting drowsy, falling asleep. And it really starts with getting evening sun at 5 p.m. or so. And then having my last big meal, putting the blue light blockers on, brushing my teeth, turning off the TV, doing a podcast, a book on tape, reading something like that, and then I fall asleep. No naps late in the day. Yeah, I really try not to nap after 3 p.m. If I nap at 4:30 or 5 p.m., that is a problem. And again, I think different things work for different people, and I can take naps and still fall asleep well, but the naps have to be between 1 and 3 p.m. That's the best time for me to nap, and preferably not too long. If I take a nap an hour and a half long, which I haven't done in a long time, but I used to do that a lot, I think it would disrupt my sleep and make it more difficult to fall asleep in the evening. So I try to keep it to like 30 minutes. Avoiding stimulating activities late in the evening. Yeah. I try to avoid like, politics or like news or anything that's intellectually stimulating right before bed. And again, I'm not perfect at this, but like this is another thing I'm working on that definitely helps. Doing like a relaxing book on tape, fiction, something like that is much better than something stimulating. Silent time during the day to process. Okay, this one's interesting. I've been listening to Dr. K, who offers psychological advice. He's a YouTuber who I really like. And something he talks about is that our brains need silent time to process the information that goes on in our lives. So I try to set aside time during the day either to meditate or to just have complete stillness and silence to let my brain work through some of the events that are happening in my life. And what I find is that if I don't allow myself silent time during the day, all of these thoughts and emotions and sensations come rushing back right as I'm trying to fall asleep. If I've had a long day of working and doing stuff, and then I just plop my head on the pillow at 10:30, all of this information is just churning around in my brain. And so if I allow myself half hour during the day to just have like total stillness, doing nothing, I mean literally doing nothing, just sitting in a chair doing nothing, then I give myself time to process that stuff. And then when I'm ready to fall asleep, I don't have this monkey mind turmoil of thoughts going on in my head. And then the last one is tracking sleep. Yeah, this is great. I use my Oura Ring to track my sleep and look at my sleep quality and see what works and what doesn't and what helps my sleep. I've been able to improve my average sleep scores from in the high 60s to the low 80s in the last 4 years. And year over year, it's improved. Average nightly sleep score on my Oura. So I think tracking is really helpful. And tracking also kept me accountable for a long time so that I could see how many days a week I was going to bed late, how consistent my sleep was, and just have a really hands-on approach to meticulously tracking that. And then the last one I'll add for B tier is evening sun. Yeah, evening sun as the sun's setting also is helpful. Especially there's been some research that it can offset the effect of bright light late in the evenings. So if you have evening sun, like 5 p.m. or right now 5 p.m. because it's the winter, but whenever the sun's going down, then that offsets the effect of the bright light late in the evening that will keep you up, and that late artificial light won't have as significant an effect. So I try to get outside every day also in the evening as the sun's setting, and it's not as critical as morning, like first thing in the morning sun, but it's also amazing. Okay, those are my sleep hygiene habits ranked. This is just my own opinion. I hope that helps. I'll make more videos in the future about exercise, ketosis, ketogenic diet. I mean, all the things that I've done, metabolic therapies to improve my mental health, put my bipolar disorder symptoms into remission. So definitely let me know in the comments what y'all want me to make, and I will see you soon.